Okay, title is How to Be an Effective Coach. So, firstly, I'm going to ask you to have a look at these pictures on the left and on the right and just think what is the most effective coach. At the end of the presentation, I will show you these two images again, and then I will ask you the same question. Now here I'm going to explain the reasons why. So what I'm going to cover is roles and responsibilities, skills and behaviours of an effective coach, and qualifications and suitable experience. So these can include helping an individual achieve their full potential, because at the end of the day the coach is there to try and improve them, and the more effective a coach would be is determined by the improvements of their players. And train on the technical aspects of the role, so for specifically at the younger age groups where you've got children or maybe even adults that struggle to make a pass or a through ball. It's the how do you do that and what are the next steps, and then train the player, coach the players on how to put the technical aspects into practice. So this will involve once a player knows how to shoot, for example, if it's football, it's what is the right timing of the shot. So would it make sense to shoot outside the box on the angle, or being inside the box in between the line of the goal? And then they help it identify strengths and areas for development, when giving feedback, and then potentially after the coaching session, the coaches will speak and say, so and so did this very well, but I've noticed a little dip in his passing ability, or his or her passing ability, or their speed. And it's with the development areas, it's the agreed goals. How do they achieve those goals? So that will come into the formulaic training plan. So once they've got once they've got the identified weakness, the effective coach would be able to come up with quickly and effectively a good training plan for that individual or group or even a team. So the skills of an effective coach and how they should act. So on this slide, it's going to cover the knowledge, skills and ability of an effective coach. So the skills are the things that the coach possesses. So a skill might be that they're a good people person, or they know how to communicate well. And then it's ability to build good rapport, trust and respect. So an example would be Jose Mourinho, where initially he does get on with them, but typically after 2 or 3 seasons he falls out with them, and those things, they start to decline. So good communication skills. So, because an effective coach, because if it's a high level coach, they would be overseeing quite a lot. So this communication, they would need to say, if they're a first team coach, or a coach that's head of youth development, they would need to communicate effectively with all of the academy age groups and the first team, because they're looking to get that goal from the academy to the first team and making them steps slightly easier within that process. So they need good listening and observation skills. So an example of where an effective coach has had has had good observations skills was where Sir Alex Ferguson, he said that he wanted at the training ground, and he did it, and that he did get this, was that he was able to observe. So from his office, he could see the car park, the entrance, the training ground, every scene on the training ground which involved the players, which is outside, Sir Alex Ferguson would be able to see, because he wanted to get that feel for how the players doing today, what's their attitude like when they're coming out the car, walking onto the training field, going in and out of training. So, and also they'd need to be technically strong. They need to have good knowledge of rules of the game and techniques. So rules of the game, specifically this season, they would need to make all players aware about the changes to, VAR, or different types of technology, or different ways that the referees will be going about their business. So, and techniques. So if it's a goalkeeper coach where it's a Spanish technique where they catch like that, but English technique is where they look to do the W. But an effective coach would need to have a variety of techniques, because not every technique would work for everyone. Those individual athletes would need that specific technique that's right for them. So, on this bit, I'm going to cover behaviours of an effective coach. So this involves actions and attitudes. So behaviours are what people do. So, behaviours you can change. The last section was about what the coach is capable of doing. This section is what the effective coach actually does. So, the coach will agree goals with the player for maybe the next few months, or short term, medium, long term, to highlight progressions in their game, or what their team would like to achieve, and it needs to be followed up regularly so the individuals know how they're getting on. So when the players receive that feedback, to either saying you are doing really well, it can give them a boost of confidence, or potentially if it's a coach could say, in my opinion, I don't feel like you're working hard enough in training to achieve this goal, so you might need to work a little bit harder and generate more effort. So it's that they also motivate and maintain motivation levels. So a common trend is initially when a new coach arrives that the players will be really motivated, that they'll typically get good initially a good run of games, to say 5-6 games where they play fantastic, and after that it may drop, but the effective coach would need to be tested. So before that drop, to have an extension strategy in the motivation levels to continue that upward climb. So the dress code of an effective coach. This will cover a variety of things depending on what your role is as a coach and who you are coaching for. So if you are coaching for a company or a club or a high level club, you'll need to wear specific uniform compared to if you were just coaching a sports team in the village. So, qualifications and suitable experience. So, for generic qualifications, typically, the better qualified a coach is, the better a coach will be. But this is normally the case, but there are some examples of coaches who have got all the way up to their equivalent to their FA Pro license, but a UEFA B coach could be doing a better job than them. So, as you know, not all great coaches were great players. So, sport-specific qualifications. So that's where the coaching qualifications in football, cricket, hockey, and different sports like that. But one message I would have to any aspiring young coaches is broaden yourself out, because this would lead to making your CV as impressive. This will lead to you making your CV as impressive as it can be, which could lead to a higher chance of employment. So, experience and track record. So, for experience, that an example of a coach who has gained the experience but hasn't had a playing career at all would be Arsene Wenger, and has had a very good career in coaching and management. As for Gary Neville, fantastic career in playing, so he may have had the experience, but his track record isn't too great. So, now we're coming towards the end of the presentation. I'm going to ask this same question again, but there will be a difference. So, please can you tell me which left side or right side, what is the more effective coach and why? So,
left side, because all the people on there are able to exhibit the things that you've talked about, whereas the person on the right just looks like he's shouting at someone and telling them what to do. And the person doesn't look very motivated.
Okay, also, the dress sense. I know they're two different sports that are being compared, but how is Sir Alex Ferguson dressed compared to...
On the whole, they're all dressed smart.
Thank you. So, the summary. This is an image of an effective coach and how his effectiveness as a coach led to a fantastic playing career for these players. Thank you for listening.